Welcome back to another video, and today we got our Week 4 College Basketball Power 40 rankings. We're doing these videos every single Monday, so make sure you subscribe, along with college football every Tuesdays, NFL every Wednesdays, and NBA every Thursday. So if any of that interests you, again, make sure you go down there, subscribe, turn on the noties to make sure you don't miss. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get this out of the way. This video, as well as the next two videos you're going to see the next 2 days on the channel, are pre-recorded. I'm out of town right now, so I wasn't able to fully update these. But these, honestly, the college basketball ones, it's not going to be as bad as the college football ones. The college basketball ones here, honestly, there's not really that many games on Saturday, Sunday that I see shaking up these rankings too much. Virginia, who is in here, does have kind of a toughish game against Butler on Sunday. And then Clemson, Georgia, two teams that are very close to being ranked, but they're actually not, so it ultimately doesn't really matter too much. But those two teams do play on Sunday. The winner of that probably would have been considered to be ranked, but I'm just going to leave them out for now. But that's enough talking. I think you guys understand. Let's go ahead and get into the top 40. I'm going to go Nebraska at 40. They just got a win over Kansas State. Kansas State was the other team I was considering here at 40. It was kind of between these two teams. They were playing each other, so I figured I'd just take the winner. Nebraska actually outplayed them pretty well in the first half. They were up 10 points at halftime. They did almost sell the game, but they ended up holding on. I will say Kansas State's a really good team. PJ Haggerty is just absolutely balling out right now for them. And Nebraska found a way to win. Shout out to Fred Hoiberg, but Nebraska is going to be in here at number 40 in the rankings. Number 39 is going to be USC. Now, they had a very close call the other night with Winthrop. Against Troy. They did end up holding on, though, in triple overtime. It was a crazy buzzer beater. They're going to move down forward because, obviously, I don't want to see them playing that close of a game with Troy. Troy actually did just beat San Diego State. That was a team I had in my top 25. They're no longer in the top 40. Crazy fall from them. But, yeah, you can't lose to Troy. And USC very well almost did. They didn't. They end up winning, so they're going to stay in the rankings, but just barely. Chad Baker-Mazara had a huge game for them, 34 points, 9 rebounds, 5 blocks. Crazy what he was able to do. Rodney Rice had a really good game as well. I don't know. I still kind of believe in this USC team. They're in the Maui. They could still very well win the Maui. There's some solid teams in there, though. But USC right now, top 35 in offense, top 25 in defense. They're top 25 overall in KenPom. So I still think they have a pretty solid team. Utah State's going to move up for me 2 spots. They're going to move into number 38. They're currently the highest ranked Mountain West team, so good on them. San Diego State, like I said, took a pretty big fall. But Utah State continues to win. They're 5-0. They just blew out Tulane. They have a win over VCU. Besides that, they haven't really played anyone. It is still early in the season, though, and they continue to look pretty solid and impress. They're currently in the top 40 in KenPom as well, so I like them a lot. Number 37 is going to be Iowa. They had a lot of hype coming into this season, bringing in Ben McCollum, bringing in Bennett Sturts, both those guys from Drake last season. And Iowa started out 5-0. They got a pretty big game coming up against Ole Miss. That's a team I have ranked inside my top 40. We'll get to them in a bit here. But Iowa, very exciting team. I'm excited to see that Ole Miss game. It's really going to show us what they're made of. Iowa right now has a top 15 offense in KenPom. The defense holding them back a little, but they're still ranked 30th overall, which is pretty high for them. Missouri is going to come in here at 36. I like Missouri. I think they're a solid team. They had kind of a close game with Southeast Missouri early in the season, but since then, they've just been absolutely blowing out teams. They're 6-0 right now. Missouri's looking really good. They have the number 11 ranked offense, kind of same thing with Iowa. Defense holding them back a little bit, but they're still ranked 32nd overall in KenPom. Number 35 is going to be Creighton. Their only loss as of this point, up to this point, is that Gonzaga loss. It was pretty bad, though. They lost by 27 points. But every other game, they've been pretty solid handling business. They're in the players' era, so I guess today for you guys, they will be playing Baylor. Tomorrow they'll be playing Iowa State. So 2 huge games, two games against teams that I have ranked ahead of them. So they're going to have some chances, some opportunities to move back up into these rankings. I still think Creighton has a lot of talent and a lot of potential to get back up in there, but man, that Gonzaga loss was just brutal. They're ranked 49th in KenPom as well. So giving them a little bit of hope. If they can win one of those games, they should be in a pretty good spot. And I think that the Baylor the Baylor game is very winnable. I don't know if they beat Iowa State, but the Baylor game is definitely winnable for sure. Number 34 is where I'm going to put Oregon. I was so high on Oregon coming into the season. I was saying they were getting slept on. I still do think they're a really solid team. We'll see. They're another one of these teams in the players era. They're going to be playing Auburn, who is a team that I have ranked in the top 25. They're going to be playing San Diego State, who was a team that I had ranked in the top 25 last week. So two pretty big games for them. I still love Nate Biddle, Jackson Shellstead. I still love a lot of the guys they have on their roster. Obviously, love the head coach there. I think he's great, but they've kind of struggled with every team they've played, and they haven't really played anybody good so far. So Oregon, a little concerning. They're at 58th right now in KenPom. That's also pretty concerning. But I am still holding out hope. I had a lot of hype for them coming into the season this year. St. Mary's going to continue to rise. I feel like I say this every week, but if they keep winning, they're going to continue to keep rising. They're 5-0. They haven't really played anyone, but they've dominated every team they've played so far. St. Mary's looks like, once again, they're going to be a tournament team, especially in the West Coast Conference. There's just not much here. They're in the battle for Atlantis, so hopefully we get them playing some good teams here, at least decent teams, serviceable teams, not just from some random conferences, I mean, I guess North Texas is from the American, but, they're playing Chattanooga, St. Thomas, although St. Thomas is a decent mid-major, Ohio, Arkansas State, you know what I'm saying? None of these teams are really jumping off the page, but they do play Wichita State in the battle for Atlantis. They should be playing some decent teams in there. Currently ranked top 40 in offense, top 20 in defense, 24th overall. St. Mary's, once again, has a really solid team. Ole Miss at 32. Like I mentioned, Ole Miss does play Iowa, so that's a pretty big game here. Two teams that are just in that 30 to 40 range, just on the barely in kind of side to the Power 40 rankings. Ole Miss has a kind of a close win against Memphis, which I was kind of giving them a little bit of slack for last week because Memphis did not look great. But Memphis did just play a very close game with Purdue as well, so maybe Ole Miss doesn't deserve all that. I don't know. I think we're going to find out a lot in this game coming up against Iowa. Ole Miss is currently ranked 33rd in KenPom. They're actually behind Iowa, but they're much more well-rounded, a top 50 defense, top 35 offense. I think Chris Beard is a great coach. I was worried coming in, how would they replace a lot of the pieces they lost last season, but they've been looking pretty solid so far. I think I believe it's Camerdine. That's the guy that everyone's saying looked like Tyrese Halliburton. He's actually been really good. He's almost averaging 16 points a game for them. Malik Dia, he was kind of their only guy that came back. AJ Storr, all of a sudden, is looking once again very good. I was high on him. I said he had the potential. He was great at Wisconsin. Then he went to Kansas last year and was just absolutely nothing. Now he seems to be having a resurgence. 14 points a game so far through 5 at Ole Miss. I'm liking what I'm seeing from him. Georgetown's going to just kind of stay where they're at, I guess move up one. This group of the past 3 teams I'm talking about just kind of slowly just creeping their way up. Georgetown, they're looking all right. They just beat Clemson. I believe that was last week, so we already talked about that. So they actually haven't played a game. Well, they will have played Wagner. I'm assuming they won that game. They do play Dayton. That could be an interesting game. Dayton was a team a lot of people were excited about coming out of the A-Team, but I'd assume Georgetown wins that game. They've been looking really good. Clemson, by the way, their only loss is that game against Georgetown, and like I said, for you guys, Clemson will have just played Georgia. I don't know the outcome of that, but that's a pretty good game to keep your eye on. The result there. Wisconsin's going to come in at 30 for me. They kind of just got blown out by BYU. I just think BYU is a great team. That was in Salt Lake City, essentially a home game for BYU. Wisconsin has a game against Providence. I think that's going to tell a lot more of a message about who Wisconsin really is as a team. Even with that loss to BYU, they're still ranked 22nd in KenPom. They got the number 13 ranked offense, 60th ranked defense. I mean, obviously, when you give up 98 points to BYU, the defense is going to take a little bit of a hit. But Nick Boyd and John Blackwell, both those guys have been so good all season. And I think Wisconsin should just be a pretty solid tournament team. Maybe they won't be anything crazy. What were they? Last year they were the 3 seed. I don't think they'll get that high, but they should probably still be just fine. I'm not too worried. BYU looks like a really good team. 29 is going to be Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt continues to win. I know they haven't played anyone yet. They're in the battle for Atlantis along with St. Mary's, so hopefully we get these two teams to match up here in that tournament somehow, some way. I'd assume they do. These are probably the two best teams in the battle for Atlantis. So I'd like to think they do at some point. Vanderbilt ranked 13th in KenPom, by the way, 5th in offense, 51st in defense. That is insane to say Vanderbilt has a top 5 offense right now. But yeah, they're moving up 2 spots. They continue to win. They're going to continue to move up. And like I said, there's a chance they do end up playing St. Mary's at some point, which is going to be a huge game if that does happen. Ohio State's going to continue to move up. They continue to look really solid here. 5-0 on the season. They got a game against Pitt coming up on the road. That could be a little bit tough, but honestly, they probably should win that game. They should beat Mount St. Mary's on Tuesday. There's a good chance Ohio State enters December at 7-0 before they start some of their Big Ten games. So Ohio State's actually looking, in a pretty solid spot right now. Bruce Thornton, absolute baller, averaging 22 points a game through 5. I mean, Christoph Tilley has been amazing. John Mobley, Devin Royal. This team has 4 legitimately really good players. I think Ohio State has a really nice team this year. Number 27 is going to be Baylor. I need to watch a little bit more of Baylor. I feel like I haven't seen much from them. I guess they've only played 3 games, so I guess that makes sense. Definitely for the Players era, I'm going to be watching all these games. I can't wait. Baylor plays Creighton and St. John's, so 2 very tough Big East teams. They could definitely lose both of those games. I mean, there's a chance they could also win both those games. You never know. But yeah, like I said, Baylor just hasn't really played anyone. I guess they played Washington. That was a pretty good win. Baylor's actually ranked 20th right now in KenPom. Top 20 in offense, top 40 in defense. Pretty solid all around. I don't know. I feel like I need to see more from Baylor right now. But they're just kind of stay in the range of the teams that they were at last week. And then Indiana, kind of same thing. Just a lot of these teams just moving up two spots here. Indiana, they had that early win against Marquette that kind of put people on notice, but since then, I don't know, they've been taking care of business, I guess. They had kind of a close game with Incarnate Word. They play Kansas State on Tuesday. We know how good PJ Haggerty is. That would be an opportunity to get them a pretty big win. I actually think they will win that game, though. It's at home. Indiana also plays Bethune-Cookman later this week. That should be a win. So I think, similar to Ohio State, I think there's a good chance Indiana starts off the first month of the season 7-0, which, if you're an Indiana fan, with the amount of pain you've had to go through the past few seasons, I think you'd take that 100 times out of 100. But let's go ahead and get into the top 25 without further ado. And starting off at number 25, I'm going to go ahead and go with Virginia. I think Virginia is a very underrated team. Virginia may be the most underrated team for me right now. I love what Virginia is doing. I was high on them coming into the season, and I feel like I'm just every time I see Virginia continuing to win, I feel like I'm just getting higher and higher on them. I don't know what it really is. I feel like just the offense being as good as it is, we haven't seen a Virginia offense this good in a long time. They're usually a pretty defensive team. I think Virginia is deserving of a top 25 spot right now. They brought in a whole lot of transfers to help them out. Malik Thomas obviously was the big name from San Francisco. He averaged so many points. DeRitter, though, 17 points a game. I mean, that's pretty good stuff from him. They've got 5 guys right now averaging above 10 points. They've got 7 guys averaging above 9 points a game. Virginia's ranked 21st in offense right now in KenPom. The defense is actually the thing that's holding them back, but they're 35th overall, and they continue to win. They just got a huge win against Northwestern. So that should be a pretty big game. I'm assuming they beat Butler just because they've been playing so good, but if they did lose to Butler, then obviously you can move Virginia down quite a bit, but I'm assuming they won there. Kansas is going to drop 2. They're not going to drop too far. They kind of hung around with Duke even without Darren Peterson, and I was saying this last week, but Kansas just feels like they have no depth. It feels like it's just Darren Peterson and literally nobody else. So the fact that they were able to hang around with Duke for as long as they did, that's pretty. That's not a terrible look. Not a terrible look. They lost by 12 points to Duke without their best player. Flory Badunga looked pretty solid in this game. Trey White had 22 points. I don't know. I think it's unfortunate, obviously, if you're a Kansas fan. You don't want to start out 3-2 ever in a season. I mean, obviously, Kansas, you got big expectations. They're in the Players era, though. They played Notre Dame and Syracuse, so honestly, pretty light there. They should be able to win both those games. Maybe we see Kansas play one of the better teams if they end up getting into the championship. They're ranked 58th in offense right now, and it sounds like Darren Peterson isn't going to be able to play in the Players era, which does suck. They're going to need him back ASAP. Obviously, don't rush anything because you don't want him to be injured for the whole season, or you don't want to, cause any long-term effects here. But I'm just saying, it is unfortunate that he's been out because he is so crucial to this team's success this year. NC State's going to continue to move up. They continue to look great under Will Wade, continue to win. They are 4-0 right now. They are in the Maui. They play Seton Hall. I believe, like I said, I think USC's in the Maui, so there's some decent teams in here. Obviously it's not the typical Maui because the Players era is kind of taking that over, but Maui, Battle for Atlantis, still have some decent teams in there, and I think NC State is probably the best one in the Maui. Darion Williams through 4 games has looked ridiculous, 23 points a game. He looks like a legitimate number 1 option. Could you imagine if Texas Tech still had him? I mean, that would be just absurd. Number 22, I'm going to go Auburn. I'm going to move him up 4. I think I probably just had him too low last week. They nearly beat Houston. Maybe they should have. I mean, they got so many fouls. Houston's players were fouling out. They probably should have won that game. So the fact that Houston won is honestly just so impressive in Houston's favor. But then you look at Auburn, they come back from that, and they win by like 46 points against Jackson State. I know it's Jackson State, but that's pretty impressive nonetheless. They play Oregon and Michigan, 2 teams ranked in the Power 40 for me. I think there's a good chance Auburn could win those games. Now, you got to watch the injury. Keyshawn Hall, he did get hurt. He's averaging 23 points a game right now through 4 games. I know he didn't play against Jackson State, but if he's good to go for Players Era, then Auburn is going to be a dangerous team. I'm not sure if he will be, but I sure hope he is because he is so good. Todd Bedford kind of had a slow start to the season, but I'd assume he picks it up. He's too talented not to. Number 21, I'm going to go Arkansas. I'm going to keep them where they're at. They have the loss to Michigan State early in the season. They almost lost to Winthrop. Like, that is not a good look. They did just blow out Jackson State. Maybe that's just a trend, these SEC teams blowing out Jackson State. Now, Arkansas plays Duke on Thanksgiving. That's a pretty big game for them. If Arkansas wins that game, all of a sudden, they should be back into the mix here. I wouldn't be panicking if they do lose, though. Malik Thomas, Darius Acuff, 2 freshman guards, DJ Wagner, the veteran guard. They have a lot of really good guard play, really young. I think they're going to get better as the season goes on. I think Coach Cal has a really nice team on his hands. I wouldn't worry too much if I'm an Arkansas fan. They are not too great in KenPom, though. 42nd overall, 46th in offense, 40th in defense. That's honestly not too great. So, Arkansas, we're going to watch this Duke game on Thanksgiving, and I feel like we're going to have a pretty good idea how good this team really is because I think Duke is a very good team, obviously. Kentucky, man. Moving down 9 spots, we got to talk about Kentucky. They lose Jalen Lowe. They don't have Jaden Quayton still, so you could argue they don't have their starting point guard. They don't have their best NBA, talent, I guess you could say. They still have Otega Owe, though. They still they paid like $20 million for this roster. The fact that they're getting blown out by Michigan State, that's a team who doesn't really spend much. They don't really do much in the transfer portal. They kind of just build from within. And Michigan State won by 17 points in the Champions Classic. That's not a great look. Kentucky's 4-2 right now. Yeah, I mean, that's really all I can say. They got to take a huge hit for this. They essentially got blown out against Louisville. I know they end up only losing by 8, but they basically got blown out against Louisville. They got blown out again against Michigan State, and they haven't played, they haven't really played a good team close yet. I know it's very early in the season. They're going to have some chances, obviously. In December, they play UNC, they play Gonzaga, Indiana, St. John, so a lot of challenging games for them coming up. I still do believe in this Kentucky team. I had them ranked 3 2 weeks ago, which is insane. I was so high in Kentucky. KenPom still is as well. They're ranked 12th in KenPom, 12th in offense, 11th in defense. I just feel like if they can get healthy, they're going to be a dangerous team. But as of right now, man, they're in a pretty rough spot. You saw Mark Pope in the post-game press conference. He was saying some interesting things, like acting a little strange. And I honestly, like, it is a tough job, the Kentucky job, but I kind of felt bad for him. Like, I don't know. It's unfortunate what Kentucky's got going on right now. 2 losses this early in the season. Obviously, you don't want to see that, especially with the amount of money and the amount of talent on this roster. Pretty crazy stuff. Texas Tech is going to move down 6 for me. Now, I didn't want to drop them too much. I kind of had to, though. I mean, you look at some of these teams ahead of them, I just couldn't justify it. Texas Tech has 2 losses as well. They just lost by 30 points to Purdue. They looked absolutely abysmal. I mean, JT Top and Christian Anderson can only do so much here. I mean, Purdue is just clearly the better team. That's really all there is to it. I mean, yeah, it was just not impressive at all. I assumed Texas Tech would hold it closer than that. They do have a close loss on the road to Illinois, which doesn't look too bad right now. But they played Wake Forest pretty close. Maybe Wake Forest is just not as bad as we thought. Like, they 1 point loss to Michigan, 1 point loss to Texas Tech. Those are 2 teams inside my top 20. So maybe Wake Forest is a solid team. So I guess I could say that's a pretty good win. But against Purdue, man, losing by 30. I mean, come on. So Texas Tech's going to drop 6 for me. That was a pretty bad loss there. Tennessee's going to move up 2. They haven't really played anyone yet, but they are in players era, so we should see them play their first teams here coming up. They're 5-0 right now. In the players era, they play Rutgers and Houston. So Houston, huge test there, but obviously Rutgers as well. It's a little bit of a warm-up game, I'd say, but Tennessee should win that. They're ranked 5th in defense right now, 40th in offense. Nate Ahmet looks very good. And yeah, Tennessee's ranked 14th in KenPom, top 15 team in KenPom. You love to see that. UNC is going to move up 2 spots for me. Love what Caleb Wilson's doing. I hope Seth Trimble can come back at some point this season. They're going to need him. Henry Visar, almost 15 points a game. He's been really good. Luke Bogovac has been really good. Or Luka Bogovac, I meant. But yeah, I mean, they have the win over Kansas. Pretty good win. They dominated that game, really. And they're 5-0 right now. They also play Michigan State on Thursday. Huge game there. Michigan State's looking like a really good team. If North Carolina can pick up a win there, you're going to be looking at North Carolina as a top 15, maybe pushing top 10 team, in all honesty, next week. UCLA is going to move up 1. That Arizona loss just continues to look better and better. I know they lost. Imagine they won that game. They very well could have. They were leading that game. They could have won that game. They really could have. So UCLA, I'm not worried at all. They're 5-1 right now. Every other game they've really handled. I mean, except for the first game of the season, but it's the first game of the season. Donovan Dent, I'd like him to pick things up here. 12 points a game is not going to cut it. If he can really just tap it, if he can get to like 17, 18 points a game, it doesn't have to be whatever it was last year. I think it was like 20, 21, 22, something. It doesn't have to be that good, but if he can just get closer to that, UCLA is going to be a problem, I'm telling you right now. UCLA currently ranks as the 14th best defense, and I think Donovan Dent has the potential to rise that offense tremendously. I mean, they're 51st right now. Do we really expect that to continue? No. I know UCLA has dropped a lot in KenPom since the preseason, but I think they're going to be just fine. That Arizona game, they looked pretty competitive with, and we'll get to Arizona soon, but like, Arizona's a really good team, guys. UCLA losing by 4, not the end of the world there, so they're going to move up 1. They're going to stay at 16. Iowa State is going to come in at 15. They haven't played anyone yet, but they have dominated every single game. Actually, they've played Mississippi State. I take it back. Mississippi State, at that time, I had ranked in like the top 35, so that was a pretty big win for them. Iowa State plays St. John's and Creighton, so that should be interesting to look at in the players' era. They could very well win both those games. Iowa State, I said this last week, I think Iowa State may have been the most underrated team. I said that about Virginia, but maybe it still is Iowa State. I mean, this is a team ranked in the top 10 in KenPom, top 25 in offense, top 6 in defense right now. You got Tamin Lipsey averaging 19 a game, Joshua Jefferson averaging almost 19, Momcilovic averaging almost 15. That is a ridiculous big 3 on the offense side of the ball, and their defense, like I said, 6th in the country right now. Iowa State is a really good team. TJ Otzelberger has got, once again, another Big 12 contender on his hands. That team is ridiculously good. Michigan is 4-0 right now. They're 4-0. They're going to move up 1. They're in the players there. They're going to finally, play some good teams once again. I know they played TCU, Wake Forest, but I don't know. Like, they didn't look great in those games. I think I need Michigan to really pop. Maybe it's the San Diego State game. Maybe it's the Auburn game. I think Yaxel Lendenberg has just got to get going. I know he's averaging 15, but they need him to be more than that. This was the top transfer for a reason. Michigan right now ranks as the 7th best defense, but the 43rd best offense. They need to get it going offensively. I'd assume they will, because this was a team so many people, including myself, were so high on in the preseason, but they got to stay where they're at right now until I see otherwise. But San Diego State, Auburn, 2 games to prove themselves, and maybe they get a third one in the players' era. Michigan State's going to move up 5 after their dominating win against Kentucky. I wanted to move them up higher. I don't know if I could. But they are 5-0 right now with wins over Arkansas and Kentucky. Those are two top teams inside of my top 21. And they play UNC this week, so they have a chance to get a third one. Jackson Kohler looks like the number one guy on this team. He's averaging almost 16 points a game. Jeremy Fears, Cohen Carr, Cam Ward, Carson Cooper. They got a lot of guys. This reminds me a lot of the team last year. And I was saying this last week that the ceiling may be lower on this team, but, man, they're looking really good. I mean, Tom Izzo, man, shout out to that guy. He just always has his teams playing their best ball. This team just looks bought in. The effort's there. It looks like your typical Michigan State team. They're going to move to number 13. Illinois is going to drop 5. They're going to be put at number 12 here. They still have the win over Texas Tech, which is very good. They lost by 4 points to Alabama. I mean, Alabama's a really good team. That was a great game, really high-scoring game. Illinois still ranked inside the top 6 in offense. They're ranked 17th in defense. They're 11th overall in KenPom. This is a really good Illinois team. They have one of the best offenses in the country. Colin Boswell's been amazing. They have currently 4 guys averaging over 15 points a game. That is unheard of in college. They're averaging 95 points a game as a team. They're putting up numbers. They have one of the... I said this in the preseason. Don't be surprised if the top offenses in the country are like Purdue, BYU, Illinois. Like that very well may be the top 3. And I might be right. BYU's ranked 4th. Illinois is ranked 6th. Purdue's ranked 1. I know there's some teams that are maybe more efficient, but I'm telling you, man, Illinois' offense, they're so good. They play Uconn on Friday, so watch out for that game because that is an insane game. There are so many. I feel like there's more games this year in college basketball early in the season than there was last year. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but let me know if I'm wrong there. Number 11 is going to be St. John's. They're going to move up 3. I thought about keeping Illinois ahead of them. I don't know, though. St. John's, like every other game, they've looked so dominant. I know they have the loss to Alabama, and you could argue, well, Illinois maybe kept it closer with Alabama, but both these teams were in it with Alabama for the majority of the game. I don't know. St. John's is going to have a lot. I mean, Illinois actually has a pretty good big test here coming up on Friday, like I said, against Uconn. But St. John's, Iowa State, and Baylor, 2 pretty tough games, and maybe they're neither of them are as good as Uconn, but 2 tough games, maybe harder than 1 tough game. I don't know. Just trying to make some logic here. But St. John's currently at 3-1. They're top 25 in offense, top 15 in defense. This is a really well-rounded team. I think St. John's, people may be forgetting about them a little because they did lose that early game to Alabama at home. You'd obviously wanted to win that game. So I think people may be forgetting about them, but I think they're just going to keep on winning and keep creeping up these rankings. Like I said, 2 huge games here in the Players era, and we'll see if they end up getting some different matchups after these 2 games. But let's go ahead and get into the top 10. This is where we really get into the big leagues of teams, and these teams just playing amazing basketball right now. I mean, obviously there's some great teams outside of the top 10, but you get what I'm saying. We're into the top 10. We're into the top tier teams as of right now. Gonzaga's going to stay put at number 10. They just continue to look ridiculous. They're playing maybe some of the best basketball in the sport. I mean, obviously they are. But yeah, Gonzaga, they just beat a team by 72 points, guys. Like, what's going on? They're playing Alabama on Monday. I can't wait for that game. So I guess it's later today for you guys. A huge game. These are 2 teams I have inside my top 10. They also play Maryland Tuesday. I'm not as excited about that one. But I'll tell you, man. I mean, Graham Ike and Braden Huff look like one of the best front courts in the country. Tyon Grant Foster, great guard. They got some great guard play. I mean, after those 2 guys at the top of the front guard, you just look at their points per game leaders. Their next 5 players are all guards, all averaging above 8 points a game. This Gonzaga team is built very well. I think Mark Few has got a squad on his hands. They're ranked 3rd in KenPom, top 10 in offense, top 3 in defense. This is a really good Gonzaga team, folks. Number 9 is going to be Alabama. They're going to move up 3. They just have a little bit more for my liking on the resume than Gonzaga. But this is 9 versus 10. They're playing later today, like I said, for you guys. Alabama has a win on the road, essentially. I know it was in the United Center, but still on the road against Illinois by 4. They have a true road game win on the road by 7 against St. John's, and their only loss is a 7-point home loss to Purdue. Like, this Alabama team is just so good. LeBaron Philon, Aiden Holloway, Got some of the best guard, maybe one of the best guard duos in the country. Those two guys can shoot the lights out. They shoot the three ball very well. I love how Alabama's playing. They're going to move up 3. BYU's going to move up 1. They just got a very convincing win against Wisconsin. Their only loss is by 2 to Uconn. Not a bad look whatsoever. I know they were trailing by a lot in that game, but this BYU offense looks like one of the best in the country. You got that three-headed monster of A.J. DeBancer, Richie Saunders, and Rob Wright, and honestly, that's just going to win you a lot of games. Number 7 is going to be Florida here for me. I still believe in Florida. You know, that Arizona loss, I'm saying this with a lot of teams, but 6-point loss in Vegas, so essentially a road game. 6-point loss to Arizona doesn't look too bad right now with the way Arizona's playing. And I know, Florida kind of struggled with Florida State, kind of hung around with Miami for a while there. I think Florida's going to be just fine. I think you got to let these guards develop. I feel like I'm saying this every week. Florida's still ranked top 5 in KenPom. They still have the 4th ranked defense. Give the guards some time to get their footing, figure it out. I think Florida's going to be just fine. Thomas Hawk's playing amazing. Alex Condon's playing amazing. But we knew they both would coming in. We just need Xavier Lee. We need Boogie Flan to step it up for them. But I think they'll be just fine in all honesty. Louisville's going to stay put at 6. The Kentucky win, maybe not looking as good as it was, but it was still essentially a blowout win against a ranked team. So I got to give them props there. They kind of hung around against Cincinnati a little bit. That kind of concerned me. I thought about dropping Louisville, maybe behind Florida, maybe behind BYU. But honestly, I'm just going to keep them at 6 because I feel like if I drop them, I'm just going to keep dropping them. Like, you could argue maybe like Florida, BYU, Alabama, Gonzaga maybe would all beat Louisville. I don't know. Louisville still looks really good. Like, they probably have the best guards in the country. I mean, Michael Brown Jr., Ryan Conwell, both averaging 19 a game. Isaac McNeely, 12 points a game. He's shooting 41% from 3. Like, Louisville, I was talking about Alabama shooting the lights out. Louisville can as well. They're ridiculous at shooting the ball. They got the 2nd ranked offense right now. They're ranked 9th in KenPom. So honestly, I just couldn't drop them. They gave me no reason to drop them. So I'll keep them where they're at 6. UConn's going to drop to 5, down 2 spots. They suffered their first loss of the season at home against Arizona. But honestly, I am not worried at all about UConn. I think UConn is a legitimate national title contender. I know we're only 6 games in, or I guess 5 games in for UConn. But honestly, like, Terrace Reed didn't play in this game. The other freshman, I forget his name, blanking on his name, but he didn't play as well. So that's probably, 2 of UConn's 5 best players, like, not playing in this game. So honestly, like, I'm really not worried at all about UConn. Like, if Terrace Reed plays against Arizona, UConn may win that game, and then all of a sudden UConn's probably definitely a top 3 team, maybe even higher than 3. Like, UConn's going to be just fine. You don't have Terrace Reed. He's currently the leading scorer on this team, 20 points a game. Alex Karaban is at 16 a game, but obviously it's not 20. Like, if you have him in this game, maybe you win. You probably do win. Arizona only won by 4 points without UConn and Terrace Reed. Like, I know UConn was at home, so maybe it cancels out. Obviously, if you're Arizona, you can't control that, so I don't blame them at all. Like, it's still a very good UConn team besides Terrace Reed. The fact that UConn was this close without him just goes to show how good UConn is. So if I'm UConn, I'm not worried. I thought about keeping UConn ahead of Duke, but I'll put Duke ahead. They're 6-0. They got a top 3 offense, a top 10 defense, top 8 defense, if you want to get specific. They're number 1 in KenPom right now. Really close to them and Purdue, but they're blowing out teams. They have a pretty solid win against Texas, pretty solid win against Kansas. They play Arkansas on Thanksgiving, so that's another big test for them. Cameron Boozer just kind of felt like he had a casual game against Kansas, and he still looked amazing. He's averaging almost 22 points a game right now, 10 assists. Or not 10 assists, 10 rebounds. Could you imagine if it was 10 assists? 10 rebounds. Isaiah Evans is shooting the ball really well. Patrick Ngongba's looking really good. Dame Sarr looks really good. Caleb Foster. Like, there's a lot of guys on this Duke team. There's a reason they're number 1 in KenPom. So I'm going to put them at 4. Houston's going to be number 3 for me. They're going to drop 1 more. 2 weeks ago I had Houston at 1. Last week I had them at 2. Now they're at 3. But in all honesty, they just don't have the resume compared to these top 2 teams. Their best win is the Auburn win, which is a good win, but they probably could have lost that game. They only won by 1 point, and they haven't played anyone else since. I know they play Tennessee on Tuesday. They play Syracuse today, so they're going to have some opportunities to get it going. Kingston Flemings is amazing. Chris Senack is amazing. Obviously, Emmanuel Sharp, JoJo Tugler, Miles Uzan. They got so many guys, and the freshmen are really stepping up for them, which is a great sign. They still have the number one defense in KenPom. This is still like a national title contender. This still may very well be the team I picked to win it all, but as of right now, they're going to be number 3, and this may come as a shock to you, but I'm going Purdue at number 2. I said this last week, if Arizona beats UConn, I'm going to have a hard time putting them not at number 1, and Purdue made it very close for me with the fact that they beat Texas Tech by 30 points. That now gives them a win on the road against Alabama by 7, which looks amazing, that win, by the way, right now. A 30-point win over Texas Tech, and a win over Memphis, which is pretty solid. Although, the reasoning, I was probably going to go with Purdue at 1 still. I had them at 1 last week. But then I was like, well, Memphis had a lead with like 7 minutes left in that game. So can I really say it? I don't know. Memphis it wasn't too impressive for me to start the season. Although, in all honesty, like Braden Smith, he just had a terrible game, and Purdue played in pretty much an awful game against Memphis, and they still found a way to win by 9 points. Like, I don't know. I think Purdue's going to be just fine, obviously. They just beat Texas Tech by 30. Like, clearly they're going to be just fine. They have the number 1 offense in KenPom by a considerable amount. They got the 21st ranked defense. They're 2nd overall. They're barely behind Duke right now. Purdue's gonna be A-okay. But in all honesty, I gotta go Arizona at 1 here. I mean, how can you not? They have a win over Florida, who I've ranked 7. They have a win over UCLA, I think I have them at 16. And they have a win over Uconn on the road, who I have at 5. So, I'm telling you that right now, you look at these teams. Well, Arizona's undefeated, Purdue's undefeated, Houston undefeated, Duke undefeated. Uconn. They have 1 loss. Who's that to? Arizona. Louisville undefeated. Okay. Florida, they have 1 loss. Who'd they lose to? Well, Arizona. So, Arizona right now for me has 2 top 7 wins. There's only 2 teams with losses in the top 7, and both of them lost to Arizona. I gotta give it to Arizona. Not to mention, they have the UCLA win, which was essentially on the road. Like, Arizona looks ridiculous right now. Koa Pete didn't even play, like, all that great against UConn. Anthony De La Rosa has been amazing for them. Jaden Bradley, he reminds me a lot of Walter Clayton. He just closes games. He takes over games. This Arizona team is so good, man. Braden Burries, if he can step up, Arizona might win it all this year, guys. If Braden Burries can figure it out, this Arizona team may just be unstoppable. Maybe they already are. They're ranked 10th in offense, 10th in defense. There's only 3 teams that are top 10 in both, and that's Gonzaga, Duke, and Arizona. Like, everything, the way they're playing, their resume, the players they have, the talent they have, the potential they have, the computer KenPom numbers, love them. Like, I gotta go with Arizona at 1. I'd be ashamed not to. I know Purdue's very close. Like, a road win against Alabama, blowout win against Texas Tech, that's really good. But when you have a win over Florida, UConn, and UCLA this early in the season, I have to give my props to Arizona. I really do. I didn't expect this at all coming into the season, but here we are. Arizona's number 1 in the Week 4 rankings. I want to say, I don't even know if I had them in the top 15 of my Week 1. But that's going to do it. That's how quick things can change. That's going to do it for the Week 4 College Basketball Power 40 rankings. I apologize that I had to pre-record this, but I honestly think it should be fine. There's not too many good games, like I said, Saturday, Sunday, so I don't think I'd be missing out on much. But like I said, that's going to do it. Make sure you stay tuned for college football tomorrow, NFL Wednesday. But once again, thank you so much for watching. Like this video if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. But with all that being said, that's going to do it. I will see you guys tomorrow with another college football video.